Hey guys, what's up? It's time for another Sketchist tutorial. This time we will be doing noses. This was a request from Pin Anims, or Pin Animation, I guess is what he's called. He's one of our subscribers on YouTube. He wanted to know how I do my noses, so that's what this tutorial will be for. I'll be honest with you, noses are one of those things that I struggled with for a long time, but of course with lots of practice I eventually got the hang of it. As far as the face goes and the whole human body, that's kind of how it always goes. You just got to keep practicing before you can actually draw it without any help. So let's get right into it. So noses are kind of strange things. This is kind of the basic structure that I came up with. They come in different shapes and sizes, as always. And this might not help at all, but this is kind of I don't know, a polygon kind of shape. Just kind of so you got the basic structure of noses. Some of them are smooth and rounded, others are kind of jagged and rigid like this. But one thing about noses is they're not going to make or break your character, because people are not going to be focusing on the nose of the character unless it's extremely exaggerated. So let's go ahead and do some examples here. Also, I'm not a big fan of the anime nose. This is not a nose to me. This is not. That's just lazy animation, if you ask me. Okay, let's see. So let's just give you the basics here. So normally, let's just go ahead and draw a head here. Let's use this. So going back to the head tutorial, start with a circle, get your jawline, figure out where your eye line is, mouth will be somewhere down here, nose will be somewhere around here. Okay. So usually, just to kind of get an idea of where the nose will be, I'll make kind of this little this divot here, and after that you'll draw these kind of circles over here for nostrils. Now if you want, you can do the lines over here. Not necessary, but you can bring them in. Usually they're good for when you're drawing male characters. I also like to draw this little guy here. That shows where kind of the peak of the nose, basically anything under this will be shaded if the light's coming from up above, and everything up here will be light. If the light's coming from down here, this will be light, up here will be dark. It also starts, I guess that would be called the bridge, maybe not, but that's this can be narrow or it can be rigid. And then I don't always do this, but you can put lines here. The only reason I say I don't always do that is because they're not necessary when shading comes into play. Let me show you what I mean by that. So we'll bring in a new layer, and we'll get the lines down that we want to have there. We'll go ahead and put those nostrils in. I mean, even here you don't need the lines. In fact, we'll get rid of those just so I can show you what I mean. Oh, okay, so just right there, I mean, you can tell that that's a nose. If we lock this layer just so we won't draw on it, let me show you. So this line here, like I said, it indicates where the shading will be. And we're going to assume that he's out in the daylight, so lighting will be coming from up above. Oh, dang it. Okay. Don't forget to put on paint inside. We'll go right over it. go right up to that line. Try not to pass it. If you do, it's not a huge deal. Okay, so we've got shading there. Nothing too special about it. Also, you can give more definition to your nostrils. We're assuming that the light is coming from this side, so there will be more light over on this nostril. So let me show you what I mean by leaving out those lines and still being able to tell that it's a nose. You can see if I follow that rigid line, that's the nose we're going to go with. If I follow that, I can even do it on this side if I want. Maybe change the nostril. And right there, that's a nose. But one thing I would change, so this is what a nose would look like if the sun was coming right down on him, like literally right from above. If it was coming from over here, like I had previously said, this part would not be there. You can still tell it's a nose. So really it comes down a lot to shading. That's a great way to indicate the depth of your nose and everything. Let me just show you some examples. So here we've got two faces. You can see I did the head sketches, the circles and everything there. Then we got these. So really, let me just show you that the nose really doesn't make or break your character. It matters, but it's not extremely crucial to what your character looks like. Let me just show you. Wrong layer. Okay. Turn back to paint normal. Get to the outline layer. Should probably get a smaller brush. Okay. So get the nostrils in there. Give that little edge. And usually when they're pointed to the side like this, you're going to want to put just one line, the line that's, that's facing out. We'll bring that in a little more just to make it more pointy. I mean, and you can tell it's a nose. I mean, that's not great, but let's try a different one. Also, one of the things I was asked when I got this request is he wanted to know kind of where you want to put the nose. So you notice I put this line right down the middle of the face. Let me go back to this other scene just so I can show you guys. Let me just get rid of all this real quick. Okay, so let's go back to drawing a face. So you noticed I put that line in there, which is actually very common. I don't always like it there just because I don't feel I need it, but if you're just beginning, it's very helpful. So I'll put that circle for the back of the skull, draw my eye line, and one thing I don't do but is very helpful is you put the line right down the middle. And that helps you keep your face nice and symmetrical. So if you've got your eyes right here, basically it'll come right into that line. If the nose is right here, this is where the nostrils will be. One will be on each side of the line. And you can see right there, it looks perfectly fine. It's perfectly centered right between the eyes. It's not over here too far. It's not jutting out. So that line does help. Keep that in mind. If you can't seem to get it right where you want it, use that line because it can come in very handy. Okay, so back to this. Let me just draw a few more noses just so you guys can get a look. I mean, if we wanted, we could give this guy a completely exaggerated nose. Make it huge. And even then, he looks perfectly fine. There's not really anything wrong there. It's I mean, it's just a nose. I like to add this thing down here. That's another way to indicate where the nostrils are. But I mean, really, if you just look at it, it's absolutely fine the way it is. You don't have to change it. It's perfectly fine. For girls, I mean, for girls, like I said in the previous tutorial, if you want, all you really need is the nostrils. I know that looks kind of funny, but once you get the shading in there, it's not so bad. I'll show you examples of that in the next scene. But typically for girls, the nose is going to be a lot smaller than a guy's. And add the nostrils in there. And you don't need this there, you don't need this. A girl's nose will be a lot more simple, and once you add the shading in, that'll help. And also don't limit yourself just to the small stuff, because you can give a girl a more masculine nose and it won't really change her too much. Let me just see if I can make a good example of that. No, it's bad. Okay, so we've got our nostrils. Not to say that that's a more masculine nose, but it kind of is. I mean, it's more masculine than the other nose that I drew. But you can see that she still looks absolutely fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that nose there. You know, attach it there. And so you really see that people are not going to be looking at your noses when you're drawing characters. I mean, maybe they will, but mostly they'll be focusing on eyes, you know, lips, hair, things that have a lot more motion, at least for animation. I would not worry completely about the noses. Just get it right, figure out what works for you, and you'll do just fine. So here are some examples. These would be male noses. You can see they come in all different shapes and sizes, but they're not going to have an extreme effect on what your characters look like overall. Female noses, smaller. Like I said, you can use just the nostrils and shading, and that's perfectly fine. You don't even have the lines up here. You can just have these little divots here. Also, I use this one just because your characters aren't always going to be looking forward or to the side. Sometimes they'll be looking up. You know, we've got this character looking up. It's really that simple. I mean, you're just looking up the nostrils, you know. It's, I don't know how to really explain it. It's just kind of this strange little shape with nostrils. I mean, there's not really any better way to explain that. But, I mean, that's pretty much it. Yeah, so be sure to leave your feedback in the comments. Let me know if I missed anything, and I'll be sure to either edit the film or come out with a new tutorial that helps you out. It's that simple, guys. Be sure to send your requests, and I'll figure out what our next tutorial will be. Thanks for watching. We'll see you later.